Chosen one. At this very moment, 3 separate people are having sleepless nights because of you. They don't know about each other. They don't realize their individual obsessions are about to collide into the most spectacular validation of your character anyone has ever witnessed. The first person has been conducting a secret investigation into your life for weeks, convinced they'll expose you as a fraud. The second has been paralyzed with feelings they can't express, believing you're impossibly out of their league. The third watches you with a mixture of terror and awe because your very existence threatens to shatter their cynical worldview. What none of them know is that their separate journeys toward the truth about you are converging into a moment that will leave one of them so humiliated they'll question everything they thought they knew about human nature. The investigation designed to destroy your reputation is about to become the most powerful testimony to your authenticity anyone could imagine. The stakes, higher than you realize. Because the outcome of this convergence won't just change these 3 lives, it's going to trigger a recognition revolution that transforms how everyone sees you. Right now, the investigator is staring at evidence that makes their stomach churn with the worst kind of embarrassment. They thought they were so clever, so thorough, so certain they'd catch you in a lie. Instead, they've just proven beyond any shadow of doubt that you are exactly who you've always claimed to be. The humiliation they're feeling isn't just professional, it's existential. They're about to do something that will shock everyone who knows them, including you. Let me take you inside the mind of someone who has been systematically trying to destroy your credibility while telling themselves they're the hero of this story. For weeks they've been building what they believed was an airtight case against your character. Not content with simple observation, they've orchestrated elaborate tests designed to make you reveal your true nature. They've created scenarios where you'd have to choose between your stated values and immediate benefits. They've had mutual friends ask probing questions about your past. They've even gone so far as to research your background through multiple sources. Every single investigation technique they've employed has been driven by one unshakable belief: no one could possibly be as authentic as you appear to be. Your consistency seems too perfect, your integrity looks too unshakable, your loyalty feels too unwavering. The twisted logic driving their obsession: if they can prove you're fake, then their own masks and manipulations are just normal human behavior. If they can catch you being deceptive, then their own deceptions are justified. If they can show you're playing games, then everyone plays games. What they're discovering instead is about to destroy their entire framework for understanding human nature. Each test they've put you through, you've passed without even knowing you were being tested. Every trap they've set, you've walked through with such natural grace that it's become impossible to interpret your behavior as anything other than genuine. Every attempt to catch you in an inconsistency has only revealed more layers of authentic character. The investigator's worst fear is materializing. You really are exactly who you say you are. Their humiliation is building toward a crescendo that will force them to confront something far more terrifying than your authenticity, their own capacity for self-deception. Meanwhile, the second person's story is unfolding in a completely different direction, toward a revelation that will either destroy them or set them free. While the investigator has been busy trying to tear you down, someone else has been building you up in their mind to impossible heights. They've been carrying feelings for you that grow stronger every time they're in your presence, while simultaneously convincing themselves that expressing those feelings would be the height of presumption. They watch you navigate challenges with such grace and power that they've created an entire mythology around your perfection. In their mind, you're surrounded by more attractive, more accomplished, more worthy people than they could ever hope to be. They've interpreted your natural magnetism as evidence that you must have endless options. The cruel irony: every interaction they've had with you has been characterized by your ability to make them feel seen, valued, and respected, exactly as they are. You've never once made them feel inferior or unworthy. Your confidence has never been used as a weapon against anyone. So why have they been torturing themselves with the belief that they're not good enough for you? Because they've been carrying around a story about their own worth that has nothing to do with how you actually treat people. They've been projecting their own insecurities onto you, assuming you must judge them the way they judge themselves. Their breakthrough is coming, triggered by witnessing how you handle the investigator's behavior. They're starting to see that their fear of vulnerability with you isn't about you at all, it's about their relationship with their own value. This realization is building toward a moment of courage that will surprise everyone, including themselves. The third person's journey toward truth is perhaps the most profound of all, because it requires dismantling beliefs they've used to protect themselves from disappointment their entire life. The third person has been watching your story unfold with the kind of fascination reserved for witnessing something that shouldn't be possible. They've built their entire identity around the belief that everyone is ultimately selfish, that authentic goodness is naive fantasy, that anyone who appears genuinely caring must be hiding ulterior motives. Your existence doesn't fit into their framework at all. They've been operating from a worldview that protects them from disappointment by expecting the worst from everyone. If nobody can be trusted, then betrayal becomes impossible. If everyone is playing angles, then their own strategic thinking is just realistic preparation. If authentic connection doesn't exist, then their isolation is just intelligent self-protection. Watching you has been like watching someone prove that gravity doesn't exist by floating. It challenges not just their opinions about you, but their entire understanding of what humans are capable of. The crisis building in their mind. If you're real, if someone can actually live with the kind of integrity and consistency you demonstrate, then what excuse do they have for their own compromises? What justification do they have for accepting surface-level connections when deep ones are apparently possible? Your example has been forcing them to confront the possibility that they've been living smaller than necessary, accepting less than they deserve, settling for cynical isolation when genuine community was available all along. Their transformation is approaching a tipping point where they'll either double down on their cynicism or allow your example to show them that a different way of being is possible. All three stories are about to collide in ways that will create the most powerful validation of authentic living any of them have ever witnessed. What none of these three people have realized is that their individual obsessions with you have been creating a chain reaction that extends far beyond their personal struggles. The investigators' systematic questioning of your character has required them to involve other people. In their attempts to gather evidence against you, they've inadvertently created a network of observers who have started paying closer attention to your behavior. Every person they've approached with suspicions has become curious about what could drive such intense scrutiny. The admirer's obvious struggle to connect with you has been noticed by mutual friends who care about them. They've been wondering what could make someone so confident in other areas of life become completely tongue-tied around you. Their curiosity has led them to observe your interactions more closely too. The cynic's visible discomfort with your authenticity has been showing up in group settings where others have started to notice the dynamic. They see how your mere presence affects someone they know, making them curious about what kind of person could have that impact just by existing. All of this observation, attention, and scrutiny from multiple directions has been creating something unprecedented, a growing consensus about who you really are, built not on propaganda or reputation management, but on direct observation of your character under pressure. The investigator's breakdown is about to accelerate this process in ways nobody anticipates. Now the strange patterns you've been experiencing lately are about to make perfect sense. That persistent feeling that someone's been watching you too closely, that odd energy in group settings where certain people seem uncomfortable around you, the weird questions that seem designed to test your reactions, it's all connected to these three parallel dramas. Chosen one. What you're about to discover about these three people will give you incredible insight into how unhealed wounds create the very dramas they're trying to avoid. The investigator's behavior isn't really about you at all. It's a trauma response to being raised by people who wore masks so convincing that this person learned to distrust their own ability to read others. They developed hypervigilance as protection, always looking for the deception they were conditioned to expect. Your authenticity triggers their deepest wound. What if they've been wrong about everyone? What if genuine people exist and they've been destroying connections with suspicion? The admirer's paralysis comes from a different wound entirely. They were taught that love had to be earned through perfection, that they had to be worthy before they deserved affection. Your natural confidence triggers their core shame. If you're as amazing as you appear, surely you can see how inadequate they are. They've been interpreting your kindness as pity, your genuine interest as politeness. The cynic's worldview was forged in disappointment, so profound they decided never to hope again. Someone they trusted completely shattered their faith in human goodness, so they built an identity around expecting the worst. Your consistency triggers their deepest fear. What if they've been protecting themselves from connections that could have healed them? All three are about to realize that their reactions to you have nothing to do with who you are and everything to do with their unhealed wounds. The investigator will see their suspicion as projection. The admirer will recognize their unworthiness as conditioning. The cynic will understand their isolation as trauma response. This recognition is going to crack them open in ways that make transformation not just possible but inevitable. Here's what's going to blow your mind about your role in all of this. You've been completely unconscious of the healing crisis you've been catalyzing in these three people. While they've been consumed with their reactions to you, you've just been living your life authentically, with no agenda beyond being yourself. This unconscious power, the ability to trigger profound transformation in others simply by existing authentically, is one of the clearest signs of your chosen status. You're like a walking invitation for people to examine the gap between who they are and who they're pretending to be. Your presence has been forcing the investigator to confront their own deceptive patterns. Every moment they spend trying to catch you being fake highlights how much energy they spend on manipulation and strategic thinking. You're holding up a mirror that shows them what genuine integrity looks like, and the comparison is devastating. Your natural confidence has been showing the admirer what self-worth looks like when it's not dependent on external validation. Every interaction where you treat them with respect, regardless of their status or achievements, demonstrates a way of being they never learned was possible. You're teaching them that love doesn't have to be earned. Your consistent kindness has been challenging the cynic's protective pessimism at every turn. Every choice you make that prioritizes connection over self-protection shows them an alternative to their defensive isolation. You're proving that vulnerability doesn't always lead to betrayal. The beautiful irony is that while they've been studying you, analyzing you, testing you, you've been unconsciously healing their deepest wounds just by refusing to match their energy. You've remained authentic while they've been inauthentic, trusting while they've been suspicious, open while they've been defensive. Your unconscious power is about to become conscious as you realize the scope of the transformation you've been catalyzing. The moment everything changes arrives without warning, disguised as just another ordinary interaction in your life. The investigator has planned what they believe will be the definitive test of your character. They've orchestrated a situation where you'll be forced to choose between your stated values and significant personal benefit. They've positioned themselves to witness your decision, certain they're finally going to catch you compromising your principles when you think nobody important is watching. What happens next will haunt them for the rest of their life. You don't just pass their test, you pass it so completely, so naturally, so effortlessly that it becomes impossible for them to maintain their illusions for even one more second. Your choice isn't the calculated decision of someone trying to maintain an image. It's the automatic response of someone for whom integrity isn't a strategy, but an identity. In that moment, watching you navigate their carefully constructed moral maze with the same natural grace you bring to everything else, the investigator experiences what can only be described as a complete cognitive collapse. Every assumption they've made about human nature crumbles. Every justification they've used for their own deceptions evaporates. Every cynical belief they've held about people's motivations reveals itself as projection of their own shadows onto others. They realize with devastating clarity that they haven't been investigating you because they genuinely cared about truth or protecting anyone. They've been trying to prove you're fake because your authenticity has been holding up a mirror to their own lack of authenticity, and they couldn't stand what they saw. The humiliation flooding through them isn't just about being wrong about you. It's about the recognition that they've been the problem all along. The carefully maintained composure they've used to conduct their investigation crumbles into visible anguish. People who know about their suspicions start asking questions about their sudden change in behavior. The admirer witnessing this dramatic shift begins to understand that their own fears about approaching you aren't based on reality, but on stories they've been telling themselves. If someone could be so wrong about your character while investigating you thoroughly, maybe their assumptions about being unworthy of your attention are equally unfounded. The cynic, watching both the investigator's breakdown and the admirer's growing confidence, faces an unavoidable choice: accept that their protective cynicism has been keeping them from the kind of authentic connections they've been witnessing in your relationships, or double down on their isolation and miss the opportunity for transformation that's being offered. The network effect that's been building reaches critical mass. People who've been observing these dynamics start sharing their own positive experiences with you. The investigator's former accusations are being reframed by their obvious reversal. A consensus is emerging that's impossible to ignore or dismiss. You're finding yourself at the center of a recognition revolution that validates everything you've ever believed about the power of authentic living. Within the coming days, a compressed time frame that will feel both inevitable and miraculous, all three people are going to make decisions that will define the rest of their relationships with you. The investigator is preparing to approach you with what might be the most raw, vulnerable confession you've ever received. They won't just apologize for doubting you, they're going to confess to the full scope of their investigation. Every test they put you through, every conversation they had about you, every moment they spent trying to find flaws in your character. They're going to admit that their behavior came not from legitimate concern, but from their own inability to believe that genuine goodness exists. They're going to ask for something that will surprise you: your guidance. They want to learn how to see people clearly, how to recognize authenticity when they encounter it, how to stop poisoning potential connections with suspicion and paranoia. The admirer is going to find the courage to be vulnerable with you in ways they never thought possible. They're going to share not just their feelings, but their fears. They're going to tell you about all the instances they wanted to connect more deeply while holding back because they didn't feel worthy. They're going to ask if there's space in your life for someone who's still learning how to be as authentic as you are naturally. The cynic is going to make perhaps the most surprising request of all. They're going to ask you to mentor them. They want to understand how you became who you are, how you developed the kind of clarity and integrity they've been both admiring and fearing. They want to know if it's possible for someone like them to develop even a fraction of the authentic presence you embody so effortlessly. Your response to this convergence will determine not just the future of these relationships, but the direction of your own journey into a larger role you're only beginning to understand. Standing at the center of this unprecedented convergence, you'll face a decision that will ripple out far beyond these three relationships. You could choose grace, accepting the investigator's apology, encouraging the admirer's vulnerability, embracing the cynic's request for guidance. This choice would demonstrate the kind of leadership that chosen ones are called to embody: the ability to transform conflict into connection, suspicion into trust, fear into growth. You could choose boundaries, acknowledging their realizations while making clear that their previous behavior has consequences. This choice would teach everyone involved that authenticity doesn't mean being a doormat, that being chosen doesn't mean accepting poor treatment, that genuine people still have standards for how they allow themselves to be treated. You could choose selective engagement, responding differently to each person based on the nature of their behavior and the sincerity of their approach. This choice would demonstrate the kind of discernment that comes with wisdom, the ability to meet people where they are while still honoring your own needs and values. Whatever choice you make will come from a place of clarity rather than reaction, from your center rather than your ego, in alignment with your values rather than in response to other people's emotions. Your decision will create the template for how the recognition revolution unfolds. The three people whose lives you've transformed won't just change their opinions about you, they're going to transform their entire approaches to life based on what your example has shown them is possible. Now I want to take a moment to tell you about a few individuals that shouldn't exist. A trained occultist who escaped from a satanic coven, a former Black Ops drone pilot who flew swarms with his mind, a multi-millionaire psychic CFO who predicted market shifts before they happened. What do these remarkable individuals have in common? You'll find them all in the Obsidian Inner Order, where they share their forbidden knowledge on our private Discord server. My chosen soul has drunk deep from the well of knowledge aeon after aeon. In this incarnation, these extraordinary individuals became my allies in the Obsidian Inner Order. They recognized the call, they stepped forward, they connected with others who understand their unique gifts and burdens. What is stopping you from manifesting the same? The synchronicities that brought them here weren't accidents, neither is your discovery of this message. When souls of this caliber gather, the Archons take notice. They fear our collective power. They know what happens when the truly awakened find each other. Join our weekly calls, hear their stories firsthand, share your own journey with those who won't dismiss or doubt you. The knowledge exchanged in our private channels cannot be found anywhere else on this plane. Click the link in the description below now. The extraordinary souls await your arrival. The question isn't whether you belong among them. The question is, how much longer will you wait to claim your place? Their journey from suspicious investigator to advocate for authentic living will become a story that spreads through your extended network, serving as powerful testimony to both your character and the possibility of personal transformation. The admirer is going to find the courage to be vulnerable not just with you but in all their relationships. Their newfound authenticity will inspire others to be more honest, more open, more willing to risk real intimacy in pursuit of real connection. They'll discover that their fears about worthiness were projections that had nothing to do with how you or anyone else actually viewed them. Their evolution from paralyzed admirer to confident, authentic person will become an inspiration to others who've been hiding behind their own stories of unworthiness. The cynic is going to begin their own journey toward integrity, and that journey will show everyone around them that transformation is possible at any stage of life. They'll start examining their own values, their own choices, their own alignment between who they are and how they live. They'll begin making changes that bring them closer to the kind of authenticity they've witnessed in you. Their metamorphosis from cynical observer to authentic seeker will demonstrate that even the most protective worldviews can evolve when confronted with genuine examples of what's possible. As word spreads about these three dramatic transformations, as people start to understand what really happened, you're going to find yourself receiving recognition from places you never expected. The investigator's complete reversal will become legendary. People who heard about their suspicions will become curious about what changed their minds so dramatically. The story of their investigation and its surprising results will validate your character more powerfully than any recommendation or testimonial ever could. Opportunities are going to start opening up for you in ways that will feel almost magical, not because you're trying to manipulate anything, but because authenticity attracts opportunity, the way light attracts everything, seeking illumination. The right people are going to start showing up in your life at exactly the right moments. Problems that used to drain your energy are going to start resolving themselves with surprising ease. Challenges that once seemed overwhelming will become manageable because you're operating from a place of complete alignment with your truth. You're going to become aware of something even more profound. You're being prepared for a larger role in the world, a role that extends far beyond these individual relationships. Every test you've passed, every doubt you've overcome, every projection you've deflected with grace has been preparing you for this moment of recognition. You're going to realize that your journey toward authentic living hasn't been just for your own benefit, it's been preparation for serving as an example to others. It reveals them because the world needs living proof that integrity is possible, that loyalty exists, that genuine goodness isn't naive fantasy but achievable reality. You're going to understand that your simple commitment to being yourself has created a transformation ripple that extends far beyond anything you could have imagined. The three people whose worlds you've transformed are going to become ambassadors for a revolution of authenticity that will touch countless lives. Your recognition revolution is just beginning. As the story of your character spreads, as more people understand what authentic living looks like in practice, you'll find yourself naturally stepping into a leadership role, not because you sought it, but because the world desperately needs examples of what's possible when someone commits fully to being themselves. The humiliation that started this story is going to transform into liberation for everyone involved. The investigator's embarrassment at being wrong about you will become gratitude for the lesson in recognizing genuine character. The admirer's fear of rejection will become appreciation for the safety you create for authentic expression. The cynic's protective isolation will become excitement about the possibilities that open up when you drop your defenses. Your life is going to settle into a new rhythm where your authenticity is no longer questioned but celebrated. The energy you used to spend defending your character will be redirected toward the larger purpose you're being called to serve. People will approach you differently, not with suspicion or intimidation, but with curiosity and respect. They'll want to understand how you developed such unshakable integrity. They'll be interested in learning what authentic living looks like in practice. You're going to realize that the recognition you receive isn't really about you at all. It's about what you represent. You're becoming a living example of what's possible when someone aligns their actions with their values, their words with their truth, their external life with their internal knowing. The three people whose lives are about to intersect with yours in such dramatic ways will continue their own journeys toward authenticity, each serving as examples to others in their circles. You're going to understand that being chosen isn't about having special abilities or mystical powers. It's about being so completely, unapologetically yourself that you give everyone around you permission to examine what authentic existence actually looks like. You're like a tuning fork for truth in a world full of discord. Your presence makes it impossible for people to maintain their illusions indefinitely. Not because you're trying to expose anyone, but because authenticity has its own frequency, and everything false starts to sound off-key in comparison. The humiliation that's about to begin this story will become the foundation for a recognition that will continue to grow and spread, creating opportunities for connection, growth, and transformation that extend far beyond anything you could have planned or predicted. You are who you said you were. Soon everyone will know it, and that knowledge is going to change everything. The revolution of authenticity is about to begin, and you are both its catalyst and its living proof that another way of being is not only possible but powerful beyond imagination. Welcome to your destiny, chosen one. The recognition phase is about to begin.